Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really powerful question. Has modern medicine, in its relentless war on death, actually forgotten how to let us die with dignity? We're going to follow one author's story, which starts not with charts or data, but with a profound personal loss that made him question, well, the entire system. And this is the quote that really kicks everything off, from author Yoon-hae Rock. A heavenly and earthly collapse. I mean, what powerful words. He's describing this emotional earthquake he felt after seeing two totally different kinds of deaths, and it set him on this path to re-examine what it even means to die in our modern world. So, what were these two events that caused this collapse? Well, as you're about to see, they represent two completely different endings, and that contrast, it's the key to this whole critique. Okay, so here you can see the two experiences laid out side by side. It's a really stark contrast, right? On one side, his mother's death at 97 years old, peacefully at home in her sleep. And on the other, his father-in-law, 15 long days in an ICU, hooked up to a ventilator, all after a surgery. This is what the author calls a medicalized death, and it's this experience that lit the fuse for his entire argument. So this whole experience got the author thinking, not just about his family, but about the entire medical system. He started to see it as a system that's engaged in a war, not just against disease, but against the natural process of dying itself. And he actually traces this mindset all the way back to what he calls war medicine, where the goal was super simple: save the soldier, defeat the injury. But he argues that this way of thinking has sort of morphed into treating death itself as the enemy, a failure that has to be avoided at all costs. It's become a battle fought with technology, often without even asking about the human cost for the person right there in the middle of it all. And what happens then? Well, in his view, you get this dehumanizing reality. When the main goal is just to keep the vital signs stable, the focus can shift from the actual person in the bed to the numbers flickering on the screen. The patient's experience, their comfort, their dignity, it can all just take a backseat to the data. And this all leads to something that, honestly, many of us might recognize: the infamous 3-minute consultation. The author sees this as the final stop for a system that's obsessed with data, where a complex human life, with all its stories and fears, gets boiled down to a quick scan of metrics on a computer. Okay, so what's really driving this intense focus on data and intervention? Well, from the author's point of view, it's a system that's fueled by some pretty powerful economic incentives, and they don't always line up with what's best for the patient. He points to this one key problem. He calls it the prescription cascade. And it's this really dangerous cycle where the solution for one medical problem ends up creating another one. You get trapped in this loop that can be super profitable for the industry, but potentially really harmful for you. So here's how it can play out. A patient gets a drug for something, but then they have a side effect. And that side effect gets diagnosed as a brand new problem that needs another drug. And this can just keep going, creating this waterfall of prescriptions until it's almost impossible to tell what symptoms are from the original illness and what's just from the treatment. So if we zoom out a bit, the author sees the whole healthcare industry as this high-stakes chicken game. You've got hospitals, drug companies, insurers, all racing toward this huge pot of money. And in his view, this race just encourages more tests, more procedures, even expanding into super profitable areas like cosmetics, with the patient often caught right in the middle of the crash. But this isn't just about money. The author argues there's a huge human cost here, one that really messes with our whole understanding of what it means to live and to die. Think about it. In this war on death mindset, getting older isn't just a natural part of life anymore. Nope, it's treated like another disease that has to be managed, treated, and conquered. And that fundamentally changes how we look at our own mortality. And this takes us right back to his father-in-law's story in the ICU, which he describes as this technological limbo, a place where a person can be trapped, neither fully alive nor allowed to die peacefully. The pressure on families in that situation is just immense because the choice to withdraw support can get framed as something awful, even something like murder. So to sum up who wins and who loses here, the author uses this really striking metaphor from his home country. He compares patients and burnt-out doctors to a Pepero, which is a super thin, stick-like snack. They're the ones who get withered and drained. Meanwhile, the giant healthcare organizations, the hospitals, the drug companies, they're the ones who get nourished and just keep getting bigger. So, after walking us through all of this personal story and this huge critique of the system, the author doesn't really give us any easy answers. Instead, he leaves us with a final, really challenging question about our own beliefs and maybe our own role in all this. And this is his final, provocative question for all of us. Have we been brainwashed by this promise of a medical system that can conquer death? Have we lost sight of what it means to live and to die with real dignity? It's a challenge, really, for us to think critically about the kind of care we truly want for ourselves and for the people we love.